Hello everyone, Ian in London here doing a bit of a review of the year. I've had 5 different drones this year, so I thought I'd look back on what went right, what went wrong, how much I spent, and what next year holds for me, hopefully. Go back a year when I was the proud owner of a Phantom 3 Standard, getting the hang of shooting video and pictures from the air. Then early in the year, about February time, they started getting their act together, shipping out Mavics in only a few weeks from order. And I thought, having had the Phantom for over a year without crashing once, I could trust myself spending over £1,000 on a shiny new Mavic. And that's exactly what I did. So there we are in mid-February, happily playing with my new toy. And here I am 3 weeks later, looking for it after getting into difficulties over the White Cliffs of Dover. After convincing myself that it was being blown off course, I tried an emergency landing almost 1,000 yards away in a park, only to run back to the car before I checked that the motors had shut down. So it took off into the air again, trying to return to home, and unfortunately was never seen again. But I was pretty mad at losing it in the first place. So I analysed the flight logs and video footage, worked out exactly what had gone wrong, and actually made a little video trying to warn others from making the same mistakes. So lessons learned with my replacement Mavic. We decided to have a little trip down to the south of France, try and get some decent footage, and en route we're lucky enough to do a bit of shooting around the Millau Viaduct and even the 2,000-year-old Pont de Garde down near Nimes. So that trip got me back into the swing of things and restored the confidence in flying, and set us up very nicely for our main trip of the year, which was the 3.5-week trip to the mountain states of North America. After flying into Vegas and getting the rental car, we headed north up to Utah and then on to Wyoming or Montana. Had some great times in Yellowstone and the Beartooth Pass. Carried out my highest altitude flight that I'd ever done in the Mavic. Managed to get over 11,000 feet. That was a pretty amazing flight. Before heading further east towards Gillette and then on towards the eastern plains of Wyoming in order to try and find a suitable spot for the eclipse. One of the big setbacks of the trip was the fact that my replacement Mavic developed a fault, whether or not it was knocked in the flight or it just wasn't very happy. Either way, the gimbal started misbehaving and it became impossible for me to shoot any video at all. Now, the main reason for our trip over to the States was to try and get footage of the total eclipse that was coming up. So I didn't have time to get this Mavic repaired. So not a decision I took lightly, but in the end I decided to buy a second Mavic. And so I travelled around the rest of the holiday with a Mavic that didn't work and a new Mavic that did work. Once we had done the reconnaissance on the big day, we got up very early in the morning and we were lucky enough to have a perfect day, clear blue skies, not too much traffic. I was determined to throw the Mavic up into the air and actually record the shadow of the eclipse sweeping across the plains, which I managed to do, and at the same time enjoying the pretty amazing spectacle of the eclipse itself in full totality. So 2 minutes and 19 seconds of totality later, I put together some pretty amazing footage and had the most amazing time enjoying what was only my second total eclipse of the sun, certainly the first one that I'd ever flown a drone in. Later in the autumn, I finally got round to repairing the first Mavic that had started misbehaving on my trip. So I sent it off, prepaid label. Within 3 days, they had assessed it. Initially, they were going to charge me £80 for the repair. It was a damaged circuit board. I pointed out that if it was just a damaged circuit board, I couldn't really have damaged that, and surely it was a warranty. And they agreed, and so they actually repaired the Mavic free of charge, sent it back, all done within 10 days. So pretty faultless service from DJI there, I thought. And that does now leave me in the amusing position of having 2 Mavics. But there you go, it's always good to have one spare, isn't it? So during the rest of the year, when I had spare time, I was putting together various videos for YouTube. I got the bug for it, and it seemed to be quite a bit of fun, getting generally a lot of positive comments. The more popular videos I did was a comparison video between the Phantom 3 and the Mavic, Phantom being 1/3 of the price, but not necessarily only having 1/3 of the features. One of the more fun videos I had Hello, are you okay? One of the more fun videos I had making was the action shots video, showing you how to line yourself up and take some fairly good fast action shots without crashing your drone and making sure that you were still in complete control. So that does bring us towards the end of the year, and here we are at Christmas time. One of the big areas I think that is growing is FPV, first person view racing. It's an area that I really want to try and get into next year, and Santa Claus was good enough to bring me a starter drone, and I'll be doing an unboxing on this and letting you know how I get on. But this is the Parrot Mambo FPV. It's very easy to spend over £1,000 or $1,000 on FPV racing drones. You've got to pay a good few $100s for the goggles, you've got the separate remote control unit and the actual drone itself and the camera unit. So it's one of the reasons why I actually chose this, because it's a bit of a beginner's package all in one. You get the goggles for your smartphone to slip into, the control unit, the main drone itself, and a 720p camera. So that was my year. Bit of a fun year. Spent a bit more money than I'd have liked, but starting off with a Phantom, then losing my first Mavic, entirely my fault. Damaging the second Mavic, probably not my fault, ending up with a third Mavic, and then finishing the year with a completely different style of drone, FPV racing drone. So I really hope that you've all enjoyed watching what I've got up to and the fun I've had with Ted and my various array of drones. And as ever, have fun, happy flying, all the best for 2018.